Okay. Good morning. Welcome back. It's now 5 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. Welcome back to the program. My name is Victor Low. After that, good update by Regina Manyara. Now, let's talk about what's happening in the country and, of course, across the continent. Being Wednesday, we are doing The Viewpoint. And The Viewpoint, we want to take a look at basically what happened throughout the week as we come close to the weekend. I can tell you this, these are a group of brilliant brains, and today is going to be quite different. I promise you. I promise you. So if you're going to work, be a bit late, but I'll not be responsible. I'll not be responsible. Wakili Nyamongo, good morning.
Good morning and hello viewers. Yeah.
Red tie, celebration, Valentine's birthday extended.
Yeah.
You're a lucky man.
Most obliged.
I see.
Thank you.
I see. Mwalimu Sosion, welcome to the program and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Former Nat Secretary and former nominated member of parliament. Do I still go with the CS?
Former CS.
And currently?
Aspiring PS.
Candidate, governor.
I can aspire many things. Not just PS.
I see. You still on the, the process.
I'm on the cards.
We wish you all the best. Wish you all the best. And of course, I have Brian Oduro, who is a political analyst. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Bwana Victor. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to see you.
But I'm also more than that.
You're also more than?
I'm also just more than a political analyst.
Okay, go ahead.
The
future.
The incoming member of parliament for Dagoretti North.
Ah, okay.
Yes, sir.
We are just 5 hours here, Mheshimiwa. Si utatu. Okay. And of course, member of parliament representing Kibra constituency, Mwalimu Peter Orero. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Victor.
You look good. December was so good for you, Mheshimiwa. You look healthy.
Of course.
Yeah?
No, it was good.
It was good?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
All right. George Keithy, shortly. We'll be introducing him in a bit. But then, let's get into the discussion. But before then, how about we take a look at what's on the front page of local daily. So on the Standard, betrayed by Kenya. That's what's on the front page of the Standard. The gentleman on the front page is Kizza Besigye. Apparently, that is him, betrayed by Kenya. Right now, he's still incarcerated in Uganda, and the story says that Dr. Kizza Besigye has been in liberation struggle for decades, and he has paid the price for his beliefs. Abducted in Nairobi's Riverside Estate and detained in Uganda, he lies in a terrorist cell in the throes of death as his health deteriorates with every passing minute. Continues that fingers are now being pointed at the Ruto government to take responsibility with the protest planned for Friday. So what do we have here at a glance? What happened? The chronology of events is that on November 2024, Kizza Besigye, while attending a book launch in Nairobi, was abducted and transported to Uganda. On January 31st, Uganda Supreme Court ruled the trial of civilians in military courts was unconstitutional. And on February 16th, that is just a few days ago, after protest against Besigye's prolonged detention, Uganda announced that his case would be transferred to a civilian court. So that is also the front page of the Standard. All right. Sudan rebels to name civilian government. That's again something we are going to talk about in as far as our diplomatic ties is concerned. Playing with fire, that is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Playing with fire. The gentleman on the front page is President William Ruto, together with Sudan's Rapid Support Forces leader, General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo at State House in Nairobi. That was on January 3rd last year. And now Kenya's credentials as a regional arbiter and peacemaker could be eroded as one of the Sudanese fighting factions, the paramilitary Rapid Support Force, that is RSF, prepares to launch a parallel government in Nairobi on Friday. President William Ruto has previously rolled out the red carpet for the group's leader, General Mohammed Hamdan, quote-unquote, Hemeti Dagalo, angering the junta in Khartoum. And that is what's also on the front page of the Star newspaper. Diplomatic tiff looms as Kenya hosts Sudan's Hemeti group. So Khartoum rebel faction launches quote-unquote government. And that happened last night at the capital here in Kenya, that is Nairobi, KICC to be precise. I'll come back to that later on, but Wakili Naftali, let me start with you and ask you, first of all, gentlemen, we all know the country is mourning. We've lost two great leaders over the past few days. That is Baringo Senator, and just the other day we lost Member of Parliament Malulu Njendi. 30 seconds each. I think it's order to do that. Great Kenyans to Naftali. 30 seconds, kindly.
Yeah, my condolences to the family of the late legislators. May their soul rest in it.
Yeah.
Eternal peace. Yeah, thank you.
William Sosion.
Yeah, my condolence to the two legislators. I worked with them in the 12th Parliament, Honorable Cheptumo, the Senator Baringo, and a very good lawyer, and Honorable Malulu Njendi. I actually served with him in the Education Committee.
Yeah.
May their souls rest in eternal peace. And also not forgetting the National Chairman, Kenya Primary School Heads Association, Johnson Zioka, who also died over the weekend in a Chrissy Road accident. We may their souls rest in peace. These are great men who served this country with devotion, selflessness, and commitment.
Absolutely. Great. Brian?
My condolences to the two lawmakers who have left behind a good example by their hard work. May God give their families fortitude in this hard time.
Mheshimiwa, you served with Malulu Njendi actively in Parliament.
Yes. First, condolences to the Baringo people, Cheptumo's family. Of course, Nzioka, also the chairman of KEPSHA. We worked, I just left teaching the other day. We worked very, very closely with Nzioka until late last year. Ijendi was my vice chair in the Committee of Education. A very good person, sober. I talked with him when he was first taken to the ICU at Nairobi Hospital. We were very hopeful when he was transferred to Aga Khan, and he had seen marked improvements. I want to give my condolences to the family, the Kenyan people, the education sector, and all the other people. May their soul rest in eternal peace.
Great. Yeah. All right. And Wakili Kithi, good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Heartfelt condolences to the family of the departed. I think it's in keeping with God's will that we have to lose our own, especially when it is most unexpected. It happened probably in the nearness of days. And basically the country is also attracted and captured in the morning. So we send, and I personally send my heartfelt condolences. For the Baringo people, I had a personal professional relationship with the departed senator. And they've lost a good person, and the country has too lost a good person and a good legislator. May they rest in peace.
Absolutely. All right, so I think it's just in order, just a bit of housekeeping, and we have to. So now that Wakili, your mic is on, and what happened in Ethiopia?
The expected or unexpected happened. It depends on which side you were leaning. There are those who went to support, like my good friend went.
Yes.
Also condolences. Oh, sorry.
I think now being a lawyer, he must profusely withdraw the misuse of the term.
That is high contempt.
Not contempt.
Serious contempt.
Serious.
Okay.
Anyway, the pun was intended, don't worry. I was going to withdraw it in person.
All right.
But well, the disappointment is real. I think a lot of emotions captured the country in terms of all the preceding issues on the campaigns. They the government put a very good campaign.
Yes.
2 issues come out. I think conduct is a succession of events, or a succession of behavior. We got it right in our diplomatic passage in many times.
Yes.
But I think at this time there are many issues where the candidature of His Excellency Honorable Elading was tied to the country's position in many of international affairs, especially in the politics of Africa, more importantly with our neighbors. Also, there are geopolitical issues, which again are the political fissures that we see in Africa in terms of very little about race, but I think religion and the geopolitics of the day. So we simply get our cutaway probably will be Africa is the same. Ethnicity plays out even at the highest. I think religion plays out.
Yes.
And the fissures play out. But again, this is how it is. That democracy portends that people must be biased in some form of way for purposes of casting their bias in secret, but eventually providing a solution for what will be a decision on who takes what. If this happens at that level, and the bias therefore confronts you in the negative and appoints someone else, I think that's acceptable. In this country too, our reading should be that it is not that serious. If the one that we think we're proposing fails or wins, we are still the same people, the same country.
Yeah.
We confronted the same disappointments in that high office. We didn't go to Mandamano, we didn't do anything. We accepted it. That should be the same culture that we adopt here as a learning cutaway, that in democracy, it must happen that way.
Okay.
That those that win and that lose. Unfortunately, democracy, it is not an African social movement. Whoever wins takes it all. And we have no share of the AU position whatsoever because we lost it all. And I think that's democracy which we should
democracy.
We should
Sitting
carry
next to you
forward.
is, quote unquote, our reporter. Bushima was on the ground and probably saw it firsthand. Bushima, what happened? First-hand information. Perhaps give us a feel of the mood on the ground. A delegation, that was quite a big number. You were ready for that, the celebration back home.
I don't know whether it's a delegation or it's the supporters.
Okay,
you know,
supporters.
The supporters of Baba and Kenya as a whole. I think many people trivialize this to be just Baba's endeavor. I think this was a country's agenda. And people as a country must always come together when we have monumental opportunities that we need to approach. Of course, I was there early. You know, I'm one of those people that takes care of Kibra, the Baba's bedrock and bedroom, that I had to go and witness for myself what happens in Addis. Many Kenyans were there. Some came by buses, you can imagine.
From where?
From Kenya. We had 2 buses full of people. They went through Moyale, the 24 hours ride in the buses, just to show the kind of interest and support they always have for Baba. I must say the mood was good. Kenyans who were there, the Ethiopians, these people felt the presence of Kenyans, but not just that. As a nation, we lost an opportunity for a Pan-Africanist, somebody who would deliver the agenda of Africa. And those who believe in Pan-Africanism lost a big deal. not everybody went into the arena where the elections were going to be held. We had quite a number of governors, about 8 from this country, quite a number of MPs. And non-MPs, people were just thinking about the MPs. Those who were not MPs were more than the MPs. And I think some of us who were preparing to go, we even had our tickets earlier. But I can say that Baba, I think, prepared both ways. He's a Democrat, one of the leading Democrats in this world, not just in Africa, because even after losing, most people were mourning and people were crying, but Baba was very stable. And because that evening, we even went for a dinner together with the president and Baba and many other MPs. He is the one who was consoling people. And he said that you take it because in election, there are only 2 ways. You either win or you lose. And I think both ways, as a nation, we never lost as a nation, but Africa lost as a continent. But as a nation, I think Baba always said, even before that he will either win or not win. It's a
diplomatic way of looking at it.
Both diplomatic, but I think many things played out.
Yes.
I think the regional blocks, we have the East Africa, we have the IGAD, we have the SADC, we have the COMESA, we have the ECOWAS. So all this, I think, played out during these elections, and we have people talk. I would not want to talk about religion because there are people who are from the north and who are Islamic and I think voted for Baba. So we cannot bring it down to religion. We cannot bring it down to Anglophones, the French-speaking countries, because we also have those French-speaking countries who voted for Baba. So I think most importantly, as Kenya, there are many things maybe which people thought about, and we had no votes to give as Kenya. We only had a single vote for the HCH.
Okay.
And I think during the final statement, the only statement that was made by both Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga and is that they put their best foot forward. This country, the president put his best foot forward for the campaigns. Raila himself put his best foot forward, but election, you know, it is democracy. The minority.
Hold that thought.
Yes.
I'll come back to the issue of the bodies that belong to SADC, COMESA, and etc., etc. How we are actually playing a key role in those bodies, and how and whether it affected our chances of having that position this time around. Brian, in 1 minute, I know you can't do it before you take a break. What happened in your own interpretation?
First of all, that's not fair. But I'll take the 1 minute.
It will be fair. Allow me to.
We all love Baba in this table, most of us.
All of us.
It has to be said.
All of us.
I'm not sure about you. It has to be said.
The whole process, the whole
process could be an unworkable boondoggle. Was an unworkable boondoggle. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. That AUC chair is not that big of a deal. But it has brought to the fore some problems that need to be highlighted in AU. I will say this and I'll bring this angle. The electoral process and the voting process of AU is flawed. I mean, think about it. A country like Djibouti with 1.1 and a paltry GDP of around 4 billion deciding the fate of countries like Nigeria. You understand? They're going to make decisions to affect countries like Kenya. You understand? And they are allowed the same vote and the same number of votes like countries like Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria. That whole process is flawed. You must look at the population and it must be considered, whereby a country like Nigeria should at least have 3 votes or 5 votes. Country like South Africa 2, Kenya 2. Because what is happening right now has far-reaching implications in that a person who gets to decide your affairs is not really qualified to decide your affairs because they can't really step into your shoe. You have bulk of the majority people, bulk of the majority African citizens. You should get more say. So since you gave me a minute, as soon as the break comes out, we come out of the break, allow me to now break it down for you.
So that would mean, allow me to break the rule of 1 minute. Then that would mean a country like Nigeria, as you suppose, would have 3 votes. That is your proposal.
My proposal,
right?
Yes.
So what happens to Kenya, where we have 54 million people?
Look at it carefully. You know, I'm being pragmatic and realistic. There are countries like Seychelles, Comoros Island, that Djibouti itself, those countries combined have a paltry GDP of 10 B USD. Kenya's GDP is 116 B. How on earth, on God's green earth, do they get to decide our fate?
Then that would mean certain rules will have to be changed.
They have to be changed and revolutionized. So that's the angle I'm bringing, because everybody is sleeping to. I'm shocked Bwana Kithi, who's a brilliant mind, did not see that. You understand? So this thing is flawed. In fact, if you ask me, that election should be redone with new rules, because Baba should have been there by now. What can Djibouti tell us? What can Djibouti offer us?
So you take us to a break. No, continue. As we
I
go for a break,
continue, okay, yes. AU experience is an eye-opener for Kenya in international matters. And from the onset, I give it to Raila Odinga and William Ruto. They've done their best to take us to territories that nobody was thinking about. And had Baba been elected the AU chair,
yes,
he was coming with a very strong political infrastructure and a strong support base from the country and a strong continental agenda. And maybe some of the presidents from undemocratic countries didn't like a polished Democrat with strong political infrastructure in that office. If you talk of Djibouti, for example, where a president and the vice president is just members of a family, a country with no democracy. And, you know, what are we talking about when we are democratizing Africa if really we are glorifying low levels of democracy? Kenya was the best bet for Africa. But what came out is that we are envied as Kenyans. Our political development, our democratic development, and even economic development is a threat to the rest of the continent, which is a good thing. But then I agree with him that we need a new election and leadership architecture for AU, without which AU will serve no purpose.
What would you propose?
AU would
What would you propose? He's given his proposal.
Well, I would just apply, I would second and go towards that direction.
Yeah.
But then, of course, that is why even in the UN, there are permanent members of the Security Council. Why are they permanent? Because of their
Economic
contribution to the UN and all that. Now, when you talk about pro rata contribution to AU financially, I am sure Kenya, because of GDP and many things, will be putting in more resources, and we are more globally outgoing compared to many African countries. You see, we are in Haiti.
Yeah.
No other African government has gone to Haiti. We have gone to Haiti with our resources, with our men, with our lives. That's a global commitment. We have been in many peace missions as a country, both within Kenya and Africa. That is something to be proud about. We've taken a very firm position on Israel, while other countries are dilly-dallying. Some were saying, no, Kenya should not have taken that position.
Okay.
We've been in that position all along. And President William Ruto will not be the first president to vacate a position that was taken by Jomo Kenyatta,
All right.
Moi, Kibaki, and all
Thank
the
you.
rest. So I think as a country, but then it's a lesson for us to come back home.
We have a tradition of offing his mic.
Let's take a break.
Unite the country and make Kenya great.
Let's take a break, and then I'll circle back with you, Naftali. We also get to feel how and whatever happened in Addis Ababa. Today, I want us to look at the solution, basically, on the way forward. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So let me come back to Naftali. Solutions today. Let's take a look at what's really we need to do moving forward. Because in future, again, Kenya will field a candidate, or Kenya will participate in the same election at the AU. Solutions.
Yeah, Mr. Law. Mine first is to respect the opinions from my colleagues, and also in addition to congratulate the government of Kenya and the people of Kenya, especially the president, for presenting the Honorable Raila Odinga to give the people of Kenya this opportunity to express our democratic rights in that rank at the AUC. What I may differ from some of my colleagues is that instead of us going into research on how we are going to manipulate or amend the policies that are in place at the AU or AUC, let us work on our foreign affairs, foreign policy, and international trade. Because as it stands, the government of Kenya has 5 pillars as far as our foreign policy is concerned. That is peace diplomacy, then we have economic diplomacy, we have diaspora diplomacy, we have environment diplomacy, and then lastly we have cultural diplomacy. Now, in terms of cultural, because this played a very important role in the election of AUC, the Constitution of Kenya in Article 11 contemplates culture. This constitution recognizes culture as the foundation of the nation and as the cumulative civilization of the Kenyan people and the nation.
Yeah.
Now, this civilization is what we need to adopt in our culture, because as a Kenyan, I come from Kisii, and there is a way we feed meals. There is a way we clothe. There is a way our communities in Kenya 53 do other things. Now, the Constitution encourages us to incorporate or invite other cultures, and this is now civilization. Civilization is what you saw. We had the issues of Francophone speaking countries. You got the AUC now, who is now the chairperson, the winner, had, apart from Arabic and other languages, he speaks French. And the French was a key determinant on these elections that were concluded. So if unless we sit down as a republic through that public policy making and public implementation, right from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, we come with the new and the novel and the fresh policies guarding or safeguarding our diplomacy. Diplomacy is that wisdom in the management of public affairs, negotiation. So what we are lacking is diplomatic tools. Diplomatic tools like now advocates, negotiation, dialogue. We do not have that trait of sincere and steadfast fixed.
You mean?
Purpose. Yeah. Remember when...
I would like to interject.
The reason why,
first and foremost, my Kisii brother.
Yeah. No.
He said he's from Kisii.
Of course, I'm Kenyan and I...
Yes, my Kenyan brother. I'm not about to talk about your community. I'm just trying to... comes from a good place.
But
my
comes from a community
Wakili.
anyway.
Now, let me say, Wakili. Changing the architecture of AU election is not manipulation. And you mentioning AU and diplomacy of Kenya to the AU, and the same breath mentioning colonialists like French is an oxymoron. I am bound. You make me feel as if you are a spy. You've been sent to not work for us, because we have to be pragmatic and we have to be realistic. The issue here is that on the ground there are countries that are not only countries like Djibouti that are produce the current AUC only have a population of 1.1 million, and their GDP is a paltry 4.3 B as of last year. Now, that is a country that is, the population of CI is even more. How do they get to decide the fate of even Nairobi city with 5 million people? What we are saying is that nations that have a bulk of the African citizen should get more votes, should have an extra vote. Why you will call it manipulation, I do not know. Why you will now mention the French into this topic, I do not know. Of course, there are some factors that played, and there was some foreign influence. For instance, Djibouti is the only place where there is a USA base in Africa, military base in Africa is Djibouti. So maybe there were some factors to influence. Maybe the CIA are rumored to do so many things. I am not going to point fingers at anybody because I don't want to be abducted. But
it's not about
on a lighter note, I've mentioned CIA, yes, so I'm just play along.
Okay.
So those things that have happened right now and you're trying to bring to the fore, which is foreign influence, I am sure can also be brought into the reforms that we should introduce to AU. Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Now, I think the whole purpose of the AU, which succeeded the very original OAU, Organization of African Unity, which was formed primarily to unite the continent and to liberate some of the parts of the continent that was still under colonialism. If you look at it now, this has been escalated to Africa Vision 2063.
Yeah.
And there are many components of what to do with Africa Vision 23, promoting intra-African trade, strengthening the infrastructure within the continent, which Raila Odinga was in that space. And we've all agreed we must open Africa. It's more urgent that we open Africa and ensure that there's infrastructure and even economic federation, political federation. We've seen at EAC, we are moving to the level of political federation and one currency, and you can see globally the BRIC nations are coalescing to also try and upstage the dollar and have their own currency. We cannot sit pretty in the continent and wait for events to happen, and we become slaves of our cultural, religious, and linguistic beliefs. We must get out of that. Those are factors that played within that space. But must we remain in that particular space? We should not. Even as so far as Kenya working within the foreign affairs pillars, there are things that must be changed within Africa. Otherwise, AU will serve no purpose if it does not offer the transformative deliverables that have been outlined. And therefore, for me, I agree there is need to look at the
Thank you for agreeing.
while at the same time protecting also the rights of small nations.
Yes.
The small nations have a right also to participate in leadership and be elected. But I think at the continental level, more than voting, there should be negotiations.
Okay.
There should be more of negotiations and diplomacy. But for Kenya, allow me, Victor, the president and Raila Odinga did what very few people were saying. And right now, post-Addis, we agree that kumbe we are a very democratic country. We are a strong country. We are an envied country. And therefore, our two greatest statesmen back home should be given more space and support to unite the country and strengthen our transformative program of the country back home.
Yes.
I think now that we have known we are strong, we are envied, we are feared, while we still aspire to influence the continent and participate in positive global activities, and we should have no apologies for taking certain positions at the diplomatic level. Say, for example, Haiti. That one we should be proud as a country. Taking a position on Israel and others. We've taken a position as a country, we stand by that. But then allow President William Ruto and Raila Odinga and give them maximum support to say then you are the foremost statesman of this country. Now unite the country and let us have now the transformative agenda on the table to improve our country. We would like a country to leap forward in terms of GDP, in terms of quality of living, and in terms of the pillars that the president has outlined, so from agriculture, MSME, housing, UHC, and all that. Let's deliver as a country. And once we grow as an economy, there will be no shortcut. The other countries will eventually come for us. Kenya can be an African superpower.
I agree with you there.
But then it already is. But he has mentioned something about back home.
I want to come to Mheshimiwa Orero and Kithi. Just, I'll come back to you, Mheshimiwa. But then the question is, how important was this loss to Kenya? How important was it?
I like how you put your question, how a loss can be important. But maybe how does it impact on maybe the Kenya, like my friend is saying, we need the transformative agenda. I think as a Kenya, one, we need to know our friends. Two, as a country, in terms of political alignment, in terms of economic alignment, and also in terms of ensuring a democracy prevails. As a country, I think we have realized, as just my friend has said, that AU has a vision of 2063. That vision contains a lot of things. Free movement of people, free movement of goods, services. We have movement towards achieving one currency in Africa. And all these are, have political undertones. And this can only be achieved with a clear-minded Democrat with a vision for Africa. Somebody with the vision of infrastructure, political infrastructure and economic infrastructure for Africa. So Kenya we must go to the drawing boards and see also what we need to do as a country. Because most countries, I think they are envious of the successes of Kenya in terms of both economic growth and political growth. When you look at most of these countries, as I was there, and you hear how they are managed and how they are run as a country, I think Kenya is the most democratic country, not only in Africa, but I think in the world. The kind of democracies that we exercise in this country is comparable to none. Even where we were, it is, you cannot exercise your democratic. You cannot even criticize the president. While here, even where we are sitting, any of us here can criticize the president, and there is no action because we are exercising our democratic right. So I think as Kenya, the level we have reached, many countries have. We are far ahead of our time in terms of the country's political alignment and democratic space. So I think as Kenyans, we need to reflect that the kind of the democratic space that we enjoy in this country. And that is why the Right Honorable considered defeat. No, in all the circumstances, some of those countries are not even contributing to the AUC. They have no capacity to contribute, yet they have votes to decide the fate of Africa, and economically they are not contributing.
So what should happen?
Them.
What should happen to those countries then?
And,
because they're still
members. By
members.
the way, Kenya is one of the highest contributors to AUC in terms of financial contribution. As much as we are trying to bring those small countries, as it were, because they are small in terms of their GDP and in terms of their population, and also in terms of whether they acquired their sovereignty as countries. As much as we want to bring them together, they can never have equal voting rights. If I were there, those are some of the things we need to bring up. How would we have equal rights with people, one, who they are not even contributing? They are not even up to date in terms of sustainability of this AUC. So this gives us a moment.
In terms of democracy as well.
Yeah, it gives us a moment to rethink how we can rebuild AUC with all these countries together. How we need to have the number of, just people say some countries needed to be given 2 votes. Veto rights. You know, in the UN we have countries with the vetoes rights. We need to look at Africa in the same way. And if really want to have this vision of Africa 2063, we must again, these heads of state must again come to realize the importance of having countries who have the heart and the interests of Africa as a priority.
Okay, all right. Wakile, you've had the gentlemen talk of, their version. But still, my question is, how important was it then? Because when you look at a situation where Kenya presented itself for that position, and we came back home with our head held high, all right? Abina Mohammed was there in the past, and some people would argue that the same way that Kenya lost in that election is almost more or less the same that we've also lost over the weekend.
It's a script, eh?
The script is almost the same then. So how important is it so that we can pick a lesson as a country and try to avoid the repeat of the same, probably in future?
Well, you see, Africa is the same.
Yes.
It's not going to be different. We're going to have the same socio-political problems that we deal with here. But I want to talk to my colleagues here as a lawyer. You know, you don't get into the general election that's coming in 2027. You lose, and they say the rules should be different. Once you get into a competition, the rules are 11 and 11. Whoever scores first is the winner. You play by those rules. Let's not be sour losers. let's agree that we did our best in that election and that we've done well, and lessons continue to abound over time. Even the experiences of the past before inform the experience before, and I don't think that this is a loss. I think it's an eye-opener to many things that we have done right, as we have discussed, and many things we have done wrong also that can be changed. The other issue is the folly of democracy. Democracy is not a perfect system. Unfortunately, it has been widely marketed and adopted as an administrative tool for purposes of governing humanity. Because of that, then, we need to accept that at every instance, democracy may not be influenced by ideal, meaning the outcome of an election may not be influenced by the ideal of the time. If, for instance, we had a research center, say, called Cambridge, and we are the ones who provided for free all the drugs for COVID, doesn't mean we're going to elect it to anything. We are simply serving our brothers and sisters out there. And remember, the person who is serving at the AUC is not Djibouti. He's a person. So, although for purpose of voting, we are oriented...
I beg to differ, please.
Wait, please. Although we are oriented to the country as the sponsor for the vote, the person who does the actual vote is mirrored as the personality. And therefore, the person attracts certain interest across the board in Africa. So what then would inform what is attractive to Raila Odinga for purposes of the position is known to ourselves because he lives with us and we've experienced him. That is not the same experience for far-flung countries, probably for the Anglos and the Francos and so on and so forth. And therefore, the dynamics of election in a democracy has its follies that continue to create fissures that are not ideal. Democracy is not ideal, and the result, therefore, cannot be ideal, whether we do reforms or we don't. Number two, we in Africa today complain about the veto powers and the permanent seats and so on and so forth at the UN, that we are not equals there. And we've tried over time to ask for reforms. The same things that we're asking there should be changed, and the same thing that we are debating should in fact be introduced here, which then is blowing hot and cold. You can't approbate and reprobate. The point remains, therefore, that an ideal can only be reached if then there is equality across. We are talking of fairness. We're not talking of an ideal. Fairness is partly connotes tolerance, tolerating that which is not ideal, but fair. So that Djibouti is a small country, can lead Kenya with its massive GDP and whatever it is, democratic. But that's fairness. It's not ideal. And the problem with law, when we make law in this country, it affects Sosion differently, because maybe he has cows. I may not even have cows. So he may enhance what he has as a person who has another economic, but we contribute, all of us, on our taxes to enhance his position. For instance, we legislate on coffee. Some places don't grow coffee. We legislate on tea. Some places don't grow tea. Some of us have coconut trees. We don't legislate on them at all. It's an economic backbone. You realize? But it's all fair because we see the GDP eventually contributed, enhances our capacity as a country, and
but
therefore...
you haven't been stopped from legislating about those coconuts. Just come and legislate.
The contextual, I have a contextual application of that example. It's not the generic, it's the contextual.
Bwana Victor.
And therefore, excuse me, please.
You've been pontificating for a while, eh?
Excuse me.
You're misleading people here.
Excuse me.
It has to be said.
No, let's not go to that language. I'm a very gentle person. Let me finish what I'm talking about, and I'll never interrupt you, by the way. I don't do that. So the point I'm trying to say is this, that the ideal of democracy in Africa will be affected by the problems that we have in Africa. The wars, the pandemics. Look at Congo, for instance. Did it mirror? Look at South Africa and its orientation on its influence on SADC and what happened with SADC and its influence, the ECOWAS and so on and so forth. That orientation, especially because the economic blocks that continue to partition the continent into fiefdoms of economic leadership and administration, continue to cause divisions. So we have generic and inherent divisions in Africa that will never give us an ideal position. I say. I had a candidate. Let me put it this way.
Which came through that letter?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a candidate who was the ideal for us, and we saw it for Africa. In fact, we donated our own, because he would have been very important for the country. But we said that a sacrifice that we can give.
So without that
to
letter,
Africa.
Kenya would have picked the...
Probably the result will have been different. We cannot talk of probabilities, by the way, because we don't know
Okay.
if it was influential
Okay.
or not. The point remains that Africa, to reach its ideal, must serve the purpose of democracy, which portend that there's literacy, there's equality, there's everything. We don't have that yet.
Buona Victor.
We are variegated. That's the problem.
So then, the question I want to ask all of you, you've talked about how democratic we are. So, are we a threat to other jurisdictions?
Buona Victor, before we answer that question, we cannot allow people to be misguided. But Winston Churchill, the great Winston Churchill from England, once said, democracy is the worst form of government apart from any other form we've tried. So before you launch a scathing attack against democracy, you should be pragmatic enough. And that's what his argument is lacking, pragmatism. Pragmatic enough to give us another option. I'm saying Bwana Kithi Wakili High Council, who lacks pragmatism, is because that laws change just as a people change. Thereby, if we see laws do not serve us, we are allowed to go and address them and change them. And what is his name? Mahmoud from Djibouti. Yes, he's an individual, but he's a citizen of a country first before he becomes a citizen of the continent. So, before I take it back home, we must be pragmatic. Yes, democracy is not perfect, but it's the only thing we have, and we should make it work. And to make it work, it means it should be fluid. It should be able to change from time to time. We cannot be having the same laws we had over 250 years ago. Back home, you asked a question earlier. I did not get an opportunity to voice my opinion. Back home, you asked us, I thought I wrote it down, what is the effect of AU election, Addis Ababa to Kenya? Bwana Victor, I am
about the importance of the laws?
Yeah, importance of the laws.
Okay.
That's what I want to highlight. Bwana Victor, I'd like to start by saying this. The most profound truths cannot be illustrated by words alone. Our sisters and brothers in central Kenya illustrated a profound truth which has a silver lining in it. I call the situation in Kenya right now politically, and I'm saying it's a silver lining because I'm looking at democracies that are developed like the one in USA, whereby we have two parties and ways of thinking that are elaborate, whereby people are aligned not by personalities, but by principles. What they have brought to the fore is, in essence, community in Nyanza and community in Central have never seen eye to eye politically. But is that a bad thing? No, that's a good thing because it's the penultimate to what a profound democracy and a developed democracy like the one in USA. Think about it. The USA, there is the North, the Yankees, and then there's the rednecks in the South. They have never been on the same page politically. In fact, it even culminated to civil war. But what did that lead to? To date, now we know that they are Democrats and they are Republicans. So the way the country is going and the way everything is going, you can also look into our history. Okay, let's not talk about Kenyatta and Moi because the elections were different. But let's talk about presidents that have come after them. Any president that has come into power has come by way of alliances. Think about it. During 2002, it was an alliance between two communities and their affiliates. 2007, it was an alliance between two communities and their affiliates. 13, the same. What I'm saying is that now it's going to be a permanent structure. That's why I'm saying the penultimate. It's going to be a permanent structure whereby, let me give an example. The Nyanza, the Western, the Kisii, and their affiliates. And then we have the central people of Kenya and their affiliates with some swing states here and there like Northeastern, like Kuria. So to sum it up, the effects as a nation to anybody who's open it and seeing it clearly on the third eye is that we are on the right track and Kenya is a big brother in this continent. In fact, I also believe the reason that we lost the seat is because Raila himself as a personality is intimidating to most African leaders. Think about it. This is supposed to be, that position is basically a note taker. But this is now Baba, that you want to take notes for you. You understanding me? So some nation leaders have been intimidated. I'm saying could have been intimidated. So we are in the right direction as a country. And like Bwana Sosion said, let me add to it that Baba and William Ruto should come together. Let me say this. Let us form proper alliances, permanent alliances, whereby democracy will be well...
Sossion is a teacher by profession, and if you see a student raising up his hand, there is some burning issue. Teacher, what's burning?
Yes.
I want to take a break.
And a student cannot talk unless given permission to speak.
And I can also let you talk until I give you permission.
From Addis Ababa.
Let's take a break, kindly.
Let's take a break.
Kindly. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. A panel of brilliant brains. So Mwalimu Sossion, you said something. You want to say something before you take a break?
Yes. From Addis, it has come out that Kenya is a democratic superpower in Africa and is a fast-growing, influential country that could have intimidated probably other nations. Otherwise, we presented the best candidate who has the right political infrastructure called Raila Odinga. And of course, Addis, Kenya demonstrated that they had two very strong leaders in that forum. That is Raila Odinga and William Ruto. And the journey of reforms in Africa from independence to the period of dictatorship and coups, and now we are in a renaissance of democratizing Africa and repackaging the economic architecture underpinned within Vision 2063. It cannot be done without full participation of strong economies. Kenya is a strong economy, and Kenya cannot quit influencing continental policies and global policies. We should even strengthen it further. But coming back home, because we must come home. The issues of alliances, valleys, mountains, and lakes, that one should be leveled. There should be no exclusion of any Kenyan whatsoever in the development of this country. And we should not incubate such ideas. Those ideas are the ones that have worked against us at the continental level. We must develop a country of equity. And therefore, for me, and as I said earlier on, President William Ruto now has the best opportunity to continue advancing the rare route that many people did not see when he was supporting Raila Odinga for AU. People read other things. And when you open the broad-based government, people read other things. And I think the president should walk that route of the broad-based political arrangement within the country and bring all communities on board. And I am sure, side by side with Raila Odinga as the best statesman that we have not only in Kenya but in the continent, they can put that invaluable ability and capacity to transform the country. So from Addis, it is a win for the country because we've known who we are. We've looked at ourselves in the mirror and we've accepted.
Are we a continental bully?
No, we are not a bully. Kenya has never been a bully. It has been at the forefront of promoting peace. It has been at the forefront of promoting peace and acting as a home for warring groups within the region. And we should not drop that ball. So as for me, it is an opportunity now for Raila Odinga and William Ruto, the president, to work together and to collaborate so that we can re-energize the country. So the issue of the valleys, the mountains, the rivers,
but
the
it's
land should not arise.
It's a political reality.
It's a political...
Alliances are a political reality in Kenyan politics.
The truth is, the negative political components
so it is negative now.
The negative political components that exist within the country should be neutered.
Why is it negative?
We continue, of course.
Tell me why.
When you talk of the mountain, you talk of the valley, and you talk.
We're
of
talking about our homes.
We're not talking about.
No, why? These are people who live in Kenya and they're Kenyans.
Free.
Why
you
should it be evil?
I think
to
you
your eye?
understand my context. What I'm saying is that we should work for greater national
Kenya.
unity.
Yes.
Greater
That's good.
Kenya. Greater inclusivity.
No, what you are saying,
Let me weigh in this way.
what you are saying
And
in
that is what
essence
we call
is that
Association, I'm
national
supporting you.
unity.
Allow me to talk because I'm
everybody
supporting
should be
you.
on, what Association is saying is that everyone should be on the same page politically, which is an
In terms of
impossibility.
unity.
That is why I've used the right allusion by giving the best one of the best democracies in the world, which is USA.
At the end of the
we
day,
have the
because
Yankees
I'm
up
a-
north,
at the end of the
who are
day,
the Democrats, and we have the
Let me
rednecks, who are
rationalize
the
what
Republicans.
at the end of the
Mr.
day,
Sosian has said. Let me put it this way.
Teacher,
Let me put it this way,
we
sir.
have a
be
national
realistic.
anthem that binds us.
Let me put it this
Why do
way.
you have a
Mr.
national
Sosian won't
anthem in the
stop
first
anyway, but I'm supporting you. What I'm trying to say is this. Human beings are socialized in the context of domineering in a context. When you're in your house, it's not the same as when you walk out of it in terms of how you socialize yourself and in the context of your village, as we've been discussing, and then in the entire country and then outside. So our experiences outside must inform who we are because we are mirrored out there, and it's a lesson on how people look at us. There's a diplomatic issue here that was not successful on account of the fact that we failed
And
our
we are aware of that as a nation.
Yes, as a person.
Okay.
But it may also,
As a person or as a nation?
as a nation and as a person.
Okay.
Yes, we are one people when we are positioning ourselves globally. We have to be one people. When we're in Boston Marathon, we are one people, but then we cheer our own.
Yeah.
When Harambee Stars is beaten, okay, it beats others. I don't know when it beats others, but when it beats others, we are happy. When our own plays in the Premier League, we're happy, or England or something, and so on and so forth.
Respect Harambee Stars.
So the point is, I will begin to. So the point is, we have a different approach to issues in terms of our interests as a nation.
Yeah.
So when we are out there and we are putting Raila Odinga as our candidate, we united, we are uniting, and we speak with one voice. When we come back home, it's either we go back to our bad behavior or we say lesson learned that affects the local. Because you see, we are a global person, but within the global person, we have also to organize ourselves.
Okay.
And I like what Sosyon said. For the first time, I like it. What he said,
Yeah?
for the first time,
Don't say for the first time. Always.
No, but you want him to lie.
yes, for the first
never
time,
liked anything.
I like it. And that's also, is under caution. This way, that he says the unity displayed must be carried forward as a nation. Because looks like we achieve more with no shame, with no regret whatsoever if you're a nation. Whether we get what we want or we don't. Meaning, therefore, it is possible, you see, carrying forward from what the Gen Z said, where were clamoring for some few days ago. They refused to take ethnicity as a feature of division that will be dominant. And it is their age and their generation. We can say also that as we carry ourselves forward,
Yes.
we may not have to have deep fissures within the context of democracy. We can democratize and also reform our package so development takes center stage in the context. Our learning point is a clarion call where the nation is either threatened or alternatively is pursuing the greater goal of our standing in the political bureau and then the Committee of Nations.
Yes.
We can still come together. Point is, if we can do it there, why is it so difficult to do it as a nation here?
Good
It's because
question.
we forget ourselves because it is normal and normalized
All right.
in the terms of behavior.
Allow me to ask Naftali this question. So that we are all back home, and I like the way you're putting it, gentlemen. So should we bring the NADCO report to play and Prime Minister Raila Odinga to get that position, former Prime Minister to get the...
That's a good question. But before that, allow me, please, on a kind note, let us never glorify democracy when it works for us. That if our candidate won, then it is appealing. But if our candidate lose, then it's...
That's what Wakili said, that we play with the rules.
These are the truths.
Democracy must represent everybody.
Let me ask you, democracy
Must represent
does
everyone.
not become fit when it favors your candidate.
No.
Please. So, if we have non-discrimination in this now aspect and the protection of the marginalized, we will state that democracy is that political system in which the supreme power lies in a board of citizens who can elect the people to represent them.
Democracy
now
should
we have
represent
finished
the majority
in,
at least.
in his own words, and you will allow me to quote the late the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. If we are to go forward, we must go back and rediscover these precious truths that oral reality hinges on moral foundation and oral reality has a spiritual control. Unquote. Now, when Raila Odinga has lost and is coming back, we have an alliance between ODM and the Honorable William Ruto. Remember,
which alliance?
William Ruto, there is an alliance in the offing. William Ruto has 3 worst enemies. Number one,
there's a member of parliament who belongs to ODM. Is there something which may
hold on.
Is
he's not in the parliament, so he does not even know. That is
he's right. Let me give you an
He's
right. I'm saying in the offing.
I'm getting him, he's right.
Yeah,
Let him speak.
Let him speak, he's right.
No, let me finish.
Thank you.
So, remember that these are true statements. I'm speaking what is capable of being treated as fact.
Okay.
That William Ruto has 3 enemies that you cannot dispute. Number 1 is the Gen Z. Number 2 is the people of the pay slip. Number 3 is the mountain. These are the worst enemies.
What about the shareholders?
Hold on. So if Raila Odinga amalgamates his party and makes a coalition or an alliance with the ruling party, then what happened in Addis Ababa will happen to them here in Kenya.
Base that on facts.
Do not. I'm saying.
Why? For instance, this is what I mean when I say base it on facts.
Let him finish.
For instance, I might come. I'm the one.
Let him be hard. Let him be hard.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Let him be hard.
I'm saying this, bro, because of that element which you have elaborated very fairly about
I
democracy.
based it on facts.
Because our democracy, Victor, is about equality of vote, not equitability of vote.
Yeah.
My brother here wants our vote to be equitable. That fair to all parties as dictated by reason or conscience. No, it is about equality.
No.
It's the elections at AUC were by secret ballot. So that whoever who voted, their vote could count. That is what we call equality of vote.
Imply that a country will vote against itself because it's
I'm saying if we try to discriminate Djibouti, then it means here in Kenya we are going to discriminate some other aspects.
We are being pragmatic. But democracy is about majority rule.
And he's right.
But democracy
you cannot
is about
say,
majority
I agree,
rule.
you cannot say because a certain
So whose
tribe
majority
has
between
many
50
people,
million citizens
it must
and
win. You can't
1.1
say
million
that.
citizens?
Djibouti rightly
Between 50
won
million
through a
citizens.
democratic
Djibouti
process.
rightly won.
What did they win? What did they win?
Democracy.
What does Djibouti offer?
Election, AUC.
Anyway,
You know what
There's a
happens is,
difference.
You know what happens is,
I want to weigh in.
It is an electoral college that you're calling democracy.
There's a difference.
That is an electoral college. At the least, at the most, it's an electoral.
No. Integrity demands that we all listen to each other.
Yes.
Right? Hold. Walimu Sossion. But there I only have 3
I
minutes.
think you asked a very straight question.
I only have 3 minutes.
No, you asked
a very-
you
A
asked
very direct question, please. If you can do under 3 minutes.
He digressed. He
Kindly.
did talk
Should
about
NADCO report be implemented? What is NADCO
Yeah.
report?
Yes.
It is a document that makes a recommendation on how to unite
Yes.
the country and move forward. I think NADCO and other instruments that are available are tools that the President and Raila Odinga can proceed to unite the country with. Now, I want to dispel what Wakil is talking about here. We must not always go through the popular route to do the greatest things for the country. Whether popular or unpopular, uniting the country is the option for Raila Odinga and William Ruto. And how to do it and how it is done does not matter, because we must walk that route.
Okay.
We have seen, we've learned our lessons. Unity of the country is greater than anything else. If NADCO tool is going to be one of them, so be it. If Raila Odinga will get a space and a substantive office in government so that he can contribute, so be it, and all the others. And don't forget NADCO report was chaired by Kalonzo Musyoka. Bring all the teams on board. And there is nothing wrong with that. This is our country. Furthermore, the Bible says, in my father's house, there are many mansions enough for all of us. So there is room for all Kenyans. And we don't need to be labor promoting hatred, bitterness. I think if we walk the pathway of honestly bringing Kenya together and bringing all stakeholders, all citizens, all groups, including even political parties, to play a role in governance, it is possible to do it. We are a great country, a country of opportunities, and we must open those opportunities and guide the country. So, and I think there will be no mountains, there will be no valleys, there will be no rivers. The country will be united, whether people like it or not.
Politically, we are not. Politically, we are not.
So according to you, right now we are united.
Those who want to promote, those who want to promote divisions.
Why do you want to divide the country in your own volition? Already we are united.
Those who want to promote divisions and conflicts in line with 2027, I think they are missing the point.
My question
2027 is not what is important to the country.
Should we have that position of Prime Minister brought into play?
Yes, we should.
Yes, it can be brought.
Thank you.
It can be brought.
Yes,
if
Brian.
that is going to create opportunities to accommodate more.
You're not answering the question.
No, he's already answered. Political realism, political pragmatism, political reality. Let's not be idealistic here. We have to look at the past so that we can face the future. Since 2002, any president that has come to power has been through alliances. Therefore, alliances can be said to be a political reality in this country. That is not a bad thing, like Bwana Sosion is trying to put it. I have used a good example, and that is why I'm saying it is actually the penultimate of what will be ideal democracy, whereby people will no longer rally around a personality, but will rally around parties and ideologies
and
philosophy.
I
have used that example very well, and I have gave you an example, and I'm going to use it again. The Yankees down in America in the north and the rednecks in the south, they have never been on the same page politically. In fact, at some point it culminated.
So what if that position is not enacted?
If that position is not enacted, you know, politics, nature will take its course. Nature will take its course. Because how did we get here? Is it through some enactments? No, we got here naturally. Politically, this region does not get along with that region. And they've tried, but it has failed. And it is now becoming apparent to them that those people are oil while we are water. There is no problem. We are all together, but politically we are not. Let's have parties and ideologies. We have different ideologies. Hold on. There are some regions with different ideologies. From people like in Nyanza, Western, and Luya, and Kisii, we have different ideologies that from political are from central. You understand? So we should accept this political reality and take it in stride as the penultimate to the best political what will you call scenario that we could ever have, like that one in America. Let there be a Lunyaki, Nyanza, Kisii versus
what is your ideology in this case?
Now it's a party and a party.
Brian, let me ask you a question. So should Honorable Raila Odinga be given that position of Prime Minister?
You think I'm going to say no? Is that really a question? You know me. Yes, he should be given.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yesterday.
Thank you.
And what
I'm not ashamed of Baba.
Why?
He should be given. What do you mean why? The guy has a record of service. Look at his record of service. I will go far ahead and say, if it wasn't for Baba, Moi would have died in seat. These are just opinions to which I'm entitled to. So the guy has contributed a lot. So if you ask me why, his record of service speaks for itself.
Mheshimiwa Rero, go ahead.
You will be abducted.
I think, you know, in politics, we don't carry personal emotions because we always say...
Politics is emotion. What are you saying? You're not there in...
No. That is...
When people are banning billboards in Kisumu.
Brian,
we have been in this politics for a long time. We only need to have our opinion.
You're a first-time MP. What are you
saying? You have never even contested.
No, take it easy. Take it easy. Don't load it over us. A long time how?
No.
Brian,
I've been there more than you, by the way.
This thing should be ending now. I think people are there more than you. So just listen.
Brian,
I'm quiet. I'm loyal.
Allow me to say this.
I'm loyal.
let's respect each other.
I'm loyal.
Offset,
I'm
kindly.
This one is one of
I'm
the
loyal.
bad
It's
students.
better I'm loyal.
This one is one of the bad students I and Orero raised.
I am loyal.
We shall discipline him after the show.
I am loyal.
Orero should proceed.
Okay, continue.
Whether first time MP or not first time MP.
Or he enjoyed the Sossion
We have
Holy
held elective posts in this country, and all those elective posts we are voted in with my friend Sossion. So this is just another level of elections. So
it is okay.
Yeah. So what we are saying
Are we looking at that NADCO report coming into effect?
Yeah,
the way it's supposed.
It
was intended to be.
It is going to be looked at, and one of the things is that as ODM party, we engaged our people so that we bring this country together.
Okay.
And this NADCO, just as my friend has said, was chaired by Kalonzo Musyoka, and we had other political parties interested, so that it was intended that this country form a united front as a country, that we move together. And they negotiated, and people gave their views, different people, religious leaders, political parties, and this is a document that was refined by good brains in this country. So when it comes to parliament, we look at it with a tooth comb, and if need be, pass it for the better interests of this country. As a country, we must always yearn to come together. That is why we are in ODM, Orange Democratic Movement, where we cherish democracy. And democracy is where majority will have their way. So we are saying that in an election, we can never predict what will happen tomorrow. And I want to tell my friend that the loss of Baba in Addis will not be a reflection of the future election of 2027. He must obliterate that completely in his mental faculty. He is saying that the way he lost, if we have a unified front, is the same way it will happen. No, it can never be like that.
Pointing to Sossion, not
so, no, not you.
No,
I was talking to him.
You're facing this.
No.
Oh,
I'm talking. I'm replying.
Such a thing.
No, he is the one who said. So we can never imagine or make a political statement to think that politics is static. It can change tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we cannot say that this merger, whether it is what will be a reflection of 2027. And we can never say how many enemies the president has or how many enemies Baba has. The people of this country has always rallied behind Baba, anytime. And let us not think that they will not. So if we have to form coalitions that will bring better good, make this country prosper, why not? Politics also is about negotiations. If you can negotiate, why not? So in this country, we must have a mind that gives us opinion to look for what will unify and unite this country.
Correct. Okay, I think I got you.
And so
plain and
that coalition,
I think I got you plain and
that
clear.
coalition,
Although you sugar-coated it in such a way.
Victor, allow me
The NADCO report
Yes.
was a tool proposed for purposes of further unification of the country. It came at a time when the country was not united as probably the environment obtains today. The NADCO report, therefore, is furtherance of the agenda to continuously prescribe a prescription to the people of Kenya towards unity. And that's a good thing. So anything that works for us towards unity is a good proposal that should be delved in, looked into, and where possible adopted. I do think that we had the proposal, this proposal before, and went even to referendum, and it didn't work because of the politics of division at that time, and probably the unity of purpose was not probably coalesced as is now. We have had an opportunity to unite the country through the personality of Raila Amolo Odinga as a candidate at a seat that we craved for him to occupy. It didn't happen. But the momentum has been built, and therefore the proposal to bring in the NADCO report as a tool that then fortifies the unity of purpose that has been experienced will be a good thing. In any event, the country has to work in one way or another, either through competition or through unity. And it doesn't mean that that's killing democracy. I do think that when it comes a time that we have to unite for purposes of furtherance of development, a unity of purpose and addressing issues that are facing the country, that's a good thing. So I think the personalities that have played a big role here, the President William Ruto and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, we need to rally to those personalities as our leaders, because they are our leaders, until such a time that we have options. Because right now, to be honest, the options we have on the table are those options.
Okay.
The other issues must also be addressed, which can't be wished away. The fact that even as we address the issue of unity, it must be unity in the context of competition, because democracy is competitive politics. And therefore, it must not be forgotten that there are interests of many communities that must be set through and through. So I do agree that even as, and it's not bad politics to compete either ethnically, religiously, or whatever it is.
This is the key here, you know.
That
the one earlier one.
That context remains to be dominant today, and any other day, competition becomes the dominant factor in democracy. And therefore, to sum it up, all is a good thing has been born out of the AUC and the competition that we've seen, where we lost, but we come back our heads high, knowing that there's a unity of purpose in the country. The country then, now you want to interrupt a good thing. No. I'm saying a good thing.
A good thing.
He's not. He's saying a good thing. He's telling you the time is up.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you, Mr.
That is gospel.
So what I would ask and urge Kenyans is let's seize the moment, because we have a moment and we can't lose it. Come together and then demand within ourselves that we advance our democracy by way of uniting towards a greater goal. We are a great country.
What a better way to close the show? What a better...
The show has closed.
It's 8:30. It's 8:30.
So soon you'll spoil.
You give us, you know, we must say hi to our,
It's 8:30.
our constituents, Kibra.
And on the 22nd, you're giving them bursary.
Of course, you know we lead and others follow. So
Oh,
He wants
okay.
to greet his
So
constituents.
the
if
second,
you want-
I
if you-
can announce to the Kibra constituents that we will be receiving forms for bursaries.
Okay.
And this coming weekend, and anybody who applies will receive the bursary.
So must I come from Kibra constituency to get
You
that
must be
bursary?
my voter. All other constituencies have
Or
been
potential
allocated.
voter.
Also, there are
You
some
must have a
scholarships.
voting card.
Very good.
Also, Bwana Victor, there are also some scholarships that are being offered by myself, Dagon Yetu Scholarship, to sponsor TVET students.
Bring them to Kibra, TVET.
I'll bring them, yeah, as long as they choose it. So Dagon Yetu Scholarship is on, people.
That's good.
And we are sponsoring kids. And our personal message to Dagoretti North, change is here.
All right. I think that's a good way. So
Bring
that
them
if
and
you want a
give them
scholarship,
half.
if you
We
want
pay half, we pay half.
bursary, talk to the two gentlemen.
And if you want money,
Thank you so much.
If you want money, you go.
All right. George Kithi, who is an advocate of the High Court, thank you so much for coming. Muli Morero, asante sana, Sosion, Brian, and Naftali. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.